Hi everyone, I just wanted to do another quick technique video. So this technique I used on this card here, this is for Eid, and it's this technique for the background here. So this is a really cool way to make kind of these gradient backgrounds for sunsets or underwater scenes, those kinds of things. You will need a couple of things, and if you don't have these tools or you need to get some of them, you can go to thecraftymedic.com and follow the link to my online store. You can use other products if that's all you have. This works fairly well with just regular sponges as well. I'm using the sponge Brayered, and it does come with extra heads as well. And you'll need some glossy paper, so you can see that this is a little shiny. It's dull on one side and shiny on the other, and we're working on the shiny side. And this is the glossy white. The other thing you'll need is some inks. So I've got a bunch of purples and my Night of Navy, and I've got some of the old style still and the newer style, but it all works. So like I said, head on over to thecraftymedic.com if you need to get any of these things, and we will get started here. So I'm just going to work with my purples first, and I'm going to build kind of my background here. I'm going to start with Gorgeous Grape. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your sponge sprayer, and you're just going to roll it across the ink like that. So don't go back and forth, because that'll only load up ink on part of it. You're just going to keep kind of petting that ink pad. It doesn't have to look like it's completely full. There's actually a lot of ink on there, even if you only see a little bit. And then with this, what you're going to do is you're going to start rolling just on the paper here, and then slowly bring your glossy paper in. And you can see how that's starting to put a layer of that Gorgeous Grape on there. You don't want to cover the whole card. You can go back and forth a little bit. And the nice thing about this glossy cardstock is that it actually smudges a little bit. So you can see how instead of that sponge kind of stippling, it's actually starting to blend a little bit and smudge that ink. And I want to get it fairly dark on one side of the card. You can kind of turn it like this if you don't want it to be even. I kind of want it to have a bow in it, if that makes sense, like a bit of a curve. So I'm kind of doing that. And at this point, it doesn't necessarily look like much. We've only got the one color in there. Now I'm going to bring in another color. I'm going to just kind of roll this off so that I get some of that ink off. I don't have to get rid of all of it entirely to move to my next color, as long as they're kind of in the same family and I'm not going to a super light ink for my next one. If I was going to like a yellow or soft seafoam or something, I would probably wash my brayer. And we're just going to do the same thing, just moving up a little bit on the page so that my darker part of this is kind of more in the middle. But you want to keep that nice gradient going. If you have any sharp lines, they're really going to show. So I'm just going to kind of keep doing this. And this is kind of funny because I did so much more with the Gorgeous Grape. It's actually showing up darker than my Rich Razzleberry. Now these are kind of the same darkness, but you'll see what I mean when we get to the Blackberry Bliss, which is actually really dark. But it doesn't necessarily show up as super dark depending on how much sponging you do. It just kind of different shades of purple. Now, the ink dries really slowly on this glossy paper, so you want to be careful where you're sticking your fingers. I end up with ink everywhere when I do this. So it's a good thing it's waterproof, or not waterproof, water soluble rather. And we're just going to slowly build this up. So now I'm going to kind of go from the other side. And see how it's just adding different shades of purple here. So it's not necessarily going to be our dark side, because actually Blackberry Bliss is actually a bit of a warmer purple than Gorgeous Grape. So what I actually want is I want the warmer color to be kind of on the bottom. See how it kind of glows from under the buildings? That's what I want. I want that warmer color across the bottom. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to put my Night of Navy over that Gorgeous Grape, and I'm going to add a little bit more Gorgeous Grape, I think. So add some more of this blue kind of cooler purple, if that makes sense. And sometimes you have to play around with this technique a bit. Try it on a few different pieces to get kind of the color combinations that you want. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with the Night of Navy and add the really dark sections. So this, like I said, I'm going to actually cover up that Gorgeous Grape. Or not cover it up, but I'm going to add the Night of Navy to the Gorgeous Grape to give that kind of dark night sky look. And this is where I'm really going to start to curve that color and come in on the edges a bit more. And see how it's really kind of smudging as I'm doing this. That's what I like about working with the glossy paper. You can do this on regular paper. It's just going to look a bit different because you're not getting that kind of smudged effect. And I want kind of the top to be very dark and then it to get lighter fairly quickly. And then again on the edges a little bit so that it glows kind of from the middle. And if there's any like stippled spots that you want to blend out a bit, you can just roll over it a few times and it'll smudge out. Now you can start to see where that, because that ink is drying super slowly, my fingerprints are actually showing on this. So I'm holding it along the bottom where I know it's going to be covered up. All right, there you go. That's our background. Again, be careful with these once you're done with them, because they will show fingerprints. And if you drop water, or even I found the fine tip glue, if you drop that on there, it really changes how the ink is on there. So let this dry, and then you can use it as a background for your card. So you can see here under some of the places where I had the glue, this was kind of my first draft of this card, how it kind of picks up the ink from those areas and it smudges it a bit. So just be careful with it. I'm going to set this aside to dry for a while and then I'm going to make a new card with it and I'll post that on my blog. Again, if you need any of these supplies, the inks, the sponge brayer, the paper, you can head on over to thecraftymedic.com. You can follow the links if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, and you'll see my little shop now button and you can buy all those things on there. Have a great day. Happy crafting. I hope that you found this technique interesting and it's something that you want to do. I'd love to see your cards. Post them over on my Facebook. Just post them on Facebook or Instagram. Just tag me at Crafty Medic, and I'll see them and I'll share them. Have fun. Happy crafting.